Average Woodsman here, back with another video. So today I wanted to go over one of my favorite knives that I've been using for a little while now. I purchased this knife with my own money. No one sent this to me. No one gave me any money to review it or anything like that. I purchased it with my own money, and I've been using it for a few months now, and I really like it a lot. And I want to kind of talk a little bit about the knife, what I like about it, and maybe show me doing some things with it. I'm going to make lunch. I have some salt-cured snapper and some just add water potatoes and some other stuff. Probably going to make some American Beauty berry tea. I have some berries and leaves. And I just want to talk a little bit about the knife, and I'll demonstrate me using it. Make a fire with it or something like that. This is the blade right here. It's by Battle Horse Knives. I'll put a link down to the knife in the description. Like I said, I haven't received any money for this or anything like that, but I really like the blade. Scandinavian grind, obviously. That's the best grind in my opinion. A belt knife, you're going to be doing mainly woodworking with it, especially around camp, is what most people generally do, especially with a bushcraft style knife. So the Scandinavian grind excels at that, and in my experience, and this is just my personal experience of having lots of knives over the years and using lots of blades, I have butchered plenty of animals, skinned out plenty of game, you know, deer, hogs, raccoons, possums, squirrels, rabbits. I've done all kinds of skinning, all with a Scandi knife. I've done it with other blades as well, but the Scandi does a great job at that too. It's not as fragile as people like to pretend like it is. As long as you use your knife as it's intended. Remember, this is not an axe. This is not a hatchet. This is not makeup for a machete. This is a knife that you're supposed to use to do carving tasks, to do basic camp tasks, things like that. If you want to split wood, you should probably use an axe, or you can use your saw to cut, you know, appropriate sized logs to buck wood down to, you know, for your fire prep and things like that. If you want to go bushwhacking and, you know, cut a trail, buy a machete. Use your tools as they're intended to be used. So I'm going to get into this knife a little bit more. I'll show you guys me using it, and we'll make a fire and cook some lunch, and I'll just talk a little bit about it. So for some reason the video didn't record, so I'm recording this over. I just was basically talking about feather sticks. With a knife like this, you can baton, and I'm going to show you guys some batoning with it. You can baton with a knife like this. Do light batoning because the blade length is not super long, so you're not going to be able to do really heavy batoning on really large logs because it's just not going to span a really large log. But you can do plenty of batoning. It's not that big of a deal. This is not going to break. The knife is not going to break. You're not going to damage the knife as long as you're not abusing it, trying to pry with it or other types of things like that that you shouldn't be doing in the first place. You shouldn't be prying with a knife anyway. You should have a pry bar if you want to do that. If you're one of these guys who's a one-tool option, that's fine. I think it's a kind of a nonsensical concept and outdated, but if you're one of those guys, that's perfectly fine. I like to use the tool as appropriate. Let's try some feather sticks here. I'll show you guys. This is Eastern Red Cedar. It's a good wood for carving because it's pretty soft. Works really well for firecraft. I do think that feather sticks, you know, learning how to make feather sticks is actually a pretty important skill because it does teach you knife control. I don't think it's necessarily a critical skill that you have to learn it. Otherwise, you're not going to be considered a, you know, a true woodsman. But it's definitely something that you should learn how to do. It looks cool on camera, it looks cool in pictures, and people tend to really get caught up on feather sticks for some reason. But I do like to use this technique every now and then, but most of the time I just gather tender, natural tender, cedar bark, something like the fibers from a palm, stuff like that. A bald cypress, the bark from bald cypress works really well. There's plenty of natural tenders here in Florida to use that I think are better than taking the time to carve a bunch of feather sticks, because of the simple fact that I can just grab that dry bark and process it down really quickly instead of, you know, carving feather sticks. I just think it's easier and makes more sense. But if you're one of these guys who are really into feather sticks and you want to learn the skill, I do think it's a good skill. As you can see, that Scandi really bites into that cedar. It's one of the main reasons why a Scandi is preferred for carving, because it works so well. Alright, now that I got some of these feather sticks, I can just, you know, kind of put my ferro rod down into it and ignite them. This sheath does have a ferro rod loop, but in my pack I had my big ferro rod, and for igniting feather sticks, my favorite way to do that is actually to push down into it. Generally, if I'm igniting like a tender bundle of dried tender material, I'll use the method where I put my foot up, my knife up against my boot and pull away with my ferro rod. But this one I like to actually use the push down method into the actual material, and then what I'll do is I'll strike down into it. I can get this to work really quickly. Let's see if I can get this down in here. Kind of hard when the ground is this soft. There you go, right away. Ants crawling all over me. I have ants crawling all over me. That's great. All right, so one thing, another thing I do like about those feather sticks is you can ignite those with a ferro rod, you can ignite them with a lighter. They work really well, and you don't have to worry about, as long as you have open flame or you have a hot burning spark from something like a ferro rod, it'll work really well. So I'm going to let this burn down a little bit. I used pine to get it started. Get it burning. I'm going to let this burn down a little bit because I don't like to cook with pine because it has way too much resin in it. It creates like a soot. And I have some oak over here which I'm going to use. Let that burn down. And I just got this pot off Amazon. Firemaple. I've never heard of it. Saw it on Amazon. Bought it. Looks cool. Has a lot of cool features. Lid. Strainer. You know, butterfly handles. All that good stuff. I could hang it. I could just throw it on the fire. So I wanted to, I have some of this salt cured snapper. I'm gonna boil it to get some of that salt out of it and rehydrate it. And then I'm gonna cook up some potatoes and probably make some American Beauty Berry tea. Should be good. I'm gonna carve a spoon with my knife. Do some of that for you guys and just kind of close out the video. It's a hot little fire, I'll tell you that. Just gonna put this directly on the fire. I don't feel like making a tripod and all that other stuff. I might do it later, possibly, but I'm just not going to do it now. It's just not necessary. So I'm going to boil up some water. I'm going to rehydrate this salt cured snapper, and then boil a little bit more water, do my mashed potatoes, and make me some food. I think I'm going to finish carving my spoon. I'm probably not going to show the whole process while this is all cooking, me carving the spoon. I'll show little bits and pieces of it, but when you don't have a concavity tool with you, like a hook knife or my little old-timers tool that has the ability to carve it, I have to use some of these coals from the fire, and it's going to take a while, and I don't want to film that. Otherwise, the video would be 30 minutes long. So I'm going to start working on that while this water gets boiling, and we'll work out, and I'll boil this for a little while, probably about 30 minutes or so, to get some of the salt out of the water, or I'm just pull some of the salt out of the fish and rehydrate it, and I'll get back to the video. You can hear it. I threw a couple of pieces. This was starting to go out. I threw a couple of pieces of pine on there. You can hear how much resin's in that pine. So what I'm going to do is I found this Adam's needle yucca. This is the stock from it. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to carve a pot hanger's notch, and then I can just take this on and off the fire without having to, put my gloves on. So the way to do this is I'll do this out of the way. You guys can see this. I'm going to carve an X into this. And then I'm going to start working on it like a regular notch. Let's see if I can get this on video. Hold on, guys. Let me move this so you guys can see this better. This fire's really hot, by the way. And you're going to want to work on this. This is actually another type of notching, or something that you should work on, because this actually helps with knife skills also, is different types of notches. You can even make what's called a tri-stick, which is going to teach you all different types of notching. Been working on my spoon too for quite a while now. So I'll have me a spoon, and I'll have this stick, this stock from this Adam's needle yucca. I'll have that also for taking my pot on and off the fire. You guys can see that. See that notch right there? I'll show you guys exactly how it works. I'll grab it just like this. Now I can pull my pot on and off the fire without any type of an issue. So I've been carving on this spoon for a while. I burned out a little concavity here. Been working on it for a while. Looking pretty good. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, especially while I'm leaching all this, trying to get all this, suck some of that salt out of that salt-cured fish, Want to get some of that out of there. And then I'll dump this water, I'll put a little fresh water in, and then I'll make my potatoes. These only take a couple minutes. Basically, you get the water boiling, throw the potatoes in, mix them around a little bit, let it stand for about 5 minutes, and you're ready to go. I'll just take my fish, I'll eat it together. Just eat it all in one pot. It's not even necessary to do anything else with it, really. Alright, so I have some of this American Beautyberry. And with American Beautyberry, you can, first off, you can obviously eat the berries. You can dry them. And you can also use them for tea, kind of like a hibiscus tea. You can also use the leaves and the roots if you want to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these leaves and the berries, and I'm going to put them in my canteen cup, throw a little water in here, and make me a tea. Make me a tea so I can have something to drink other than just water. Alright, so this fish has been boiling for a while, and I'm going to dump this water out because it's going to be really, really salty. And what I'm going to do is I'll dump this out. That's why I like this little strainer. I don't even have to have the lid on if I don't want to. I'll dump this and I'll set my fish aside, and I'll cook up my my potatoes, and then we'll get eating and we'll close out this video. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about the piece itself. This is actually not the sheath that came with it. I'll roll in the sheath that came with it. It was Kydex. I like having the option of both. This is actually a JRM sheath that I had already in my like I have a drawer with all knives and sheaths and all that kind of stuff. This is one I had in there that I wasn't using, and I figured it fits perfectly with this knife. It works really well, so I'll throw it in here. And I use the Kydex sheath to carry horizontal when I'm carrying with something on my hip, like if I'm carrying a larger firearm, a larger pistol on my hip. A lot of times I'll carry it, but I like the traditional look of the knife with the leather sheath. This sheath obviously has, you know, the ability to attach a ferro rod to it, but the knife overall is awesome. As you guys can see, it carves really well. There's absolutely no hot spots in the handle. It fits my hand size well. I only wear like a medium to large size gloves, you know, but I have quite a bit of extra room, as you can see, with this knife. It's not like there's not a lot of extra room. And obviously it has a 90-degree spine on it, A1 tool steel. It's just an excellent blade. It's my favorite bushcraft knife that I own. I've had a lot of bushcraft knives over the year, and this one has turned in over the years, and this one's turning into my favorite. Actually, it probably is my favorite, like I stated. And then, yeah, this is it. Cool, kind of a traditional-ish design. Almost a little bit, the blade especially is a little bit Puko-ish. The handle is not as much Puko. It's has more contouring, has like a little bit of a belly here, and it has a small finger guard. I'm not necessarily a finger guard guy, and it doesn't bother me either. I'm kind of indifferent to finger guards on my blades. I don't like choils, but I do like a little finger guard. It doesn't bother me at all. I can still choke up plenty with it and use it, and it's not a problem. All right, so you got some nice thick mashed potatoes. I just went ahead and mixed in the salt cured snapper in here. I have my tea right here. Still a little hot. Good flavor. Let's try these mashed potatoes and fish. Really hot. So good. I like the just add water mashed potatoes. I mean, they're excellent. They have good flavor, especially when you're out in the woods. They're so convenient. And then if you add the salt cured fish, which doesn't have to be refrigerated out here, I don't have to worry about it. I can throw it in my pack, and it's just really convenient, and it's something you can do at home if you catch fish. You can go ahead and you can use it, you know, carry it with you and use it in meals. I do it a lot with salt cured. I do salt cured pork also. Sorry, I'm getting a lot of smoke in my face. But yeah, got a good meal here, and gonna go ahead and close out the video. Remember to like, subscribe, share these videos with your friends and family. Be safe, stay dangerous, and I'll catch you in the next one. This is why I set up that A-frame shelter using my military poncho instead of a standard lean-to. Here comes the rain.